The issue with the Order 1886 isn't the game itself. Let's be honest here, up front here. Here. I could say that probably many more times. Here, while I do this recording. I've looked at the game, and even got to try it with a friend for a little bit, and from what I'm feeling there, it's a relatively generic third-person shooter with very similar mechanics to a game called Gears of War, just set in London. Now that's not a problem. I'm sure many people would complain that it's not innovative or that they're just copying mechanics, but keep in mind we live in we purchase a genre and a media that thrives off of iteration. Sure, there are innovative concepts, but once an innovative concept has been made, it is then going to be iterated until it reaches a standpoint where it cannot be iterated on any longer. It's quite common, and there are many good generic shooters and third-person shooters. Gears of War was great, and I look at the Order and I don't see it as a bad shooter. It has relatively solid shooting mechanics, a great animation system that keeps you interested in what the character is doing, and it's very clear where or what the character is doing, and best of all, it's actually rather fun. The issue with the Order comes in its game length. Now, I know this has been a topic done to death at this point. The Order 1886 is too short for $60. This is something more akin to an indie length, and should be priced so. And I know people wouldn't be so happy about releasing a game with this AAA production quality just only to have it reduced to $20 to $30. But it's true. 5 to 6 hours of gameplay, depending on what difficulty you pick, with no variances in gameplay, is not okay to release at $60. That's too much of an asking price. It's not even that there's a lot of cutscenes. Like, if you have an equal amount of time in cutscenes as you do in gameplay, and you have gameplay that exceeds a good amount of time, like, say, if it was a 20-hour game, and then it had, like, say, 10 hours of cutscenes throughout that 20 hours of game, 20 hours is acceptable with a really nice shooter, and this, I think, would justify it. The Order 1886 would be a very good game, and would get much higher scores if it was longer, because it has everything else. It has an interesting plot, an interesting set of characters. Even if they do tend to fall into the tropes, it does tell a story that I would be willing to hear more of. The problem is, again, it's just too much of an asking price for what they give you. This seems to be, honestly, a trend lately, and it's not that good of one. Companies, especially AAA publishers, tend to be pushing out more and more games that are shorter and shorter, but are asking us for the same price. And I've seen companies defend themselves, like, in the sense that, oh, well, people don't always have time to finish video games, so we make them shorter for you guys. No, you don't. It's a cash-in. And this was originally going to be about the Order, and I feel that the Order was just a stepping stone into what the topic I really want to yell about here is, and that's transparency. I think many companies would do well to be transparent in their development. Don't reveal the secrets of your game. Don't tell people what the story is and where it goes and what the game. You can show them the gameplay, but don't reveal to them everything about the game itself. But be honest about development and its hiccups. Don't bullshit your way through it and expect people to continue trusting you. If we look at the Order as the centerpiece here, we're going to look at what it has done graphically. Now, graphically, it looks pretty damn nice. I've seen YouTube videos that are scaled down, but looking at the actual game on a TV, it looks beautiful. it looks almost lifelike. There are flaws that you can clearly see, but it looks very good. Now, to get to where they are in the graphical department, they had to make sacrifices. The first sacrifice is 30 frames per second. Okay. That's a thing that consoles have done for a very long time. And to adhere to the graphical standards that many console gamers want in hardware that does not evolve as we do with our mediums, it's going to sacrifice in frame rate. This is to be expected, though it's still something that I wish would change in the console marketing, because 60 frames is much better to play. But let me get on to what their reasoning behind it would be because it is cinematic. And people don't want smooth gameplay, that's weird. People want a cinematic experience that they can watch and enjoy, but we're not watching, we're playing a video game. And studies show that video games are played. They are played, and therefore we require reaction time. We react faster when the game runs smoother because it's able to read our movements quicker. This is a very simple concept. You have a much better reaction time with 60 frames than 30 frames. I have no doubts that 30 frames per second is playable, but 60 is more playable. And I guarantee you'll have more depths in a 30 frames per second game than you will in a 60 frames per second game. It's just common sense. Or it should be. The other thing they talked about were the big black bars kind of sitting there, and again, they claim cinematic approach. No, you're just taking 25% of the screen, blocking it off so you can render less and make the game run still at consistent 30. Congrats on making it run at a consistent 30. That's no small feat, except for the fact that you're claiming it's for cinematic feeling. No! Be honest. Be transparent. Say that the hardware limitations of the PlayStation 4 prevented us from having a game that was running at consistent, we can't have this graphical output and run it at this smoothness. We can't. We just can't do it. We would have to sacrifice one or the other. You chose to sacrifice to 30 frames and have black bars instead of sacrificing graphical fidelity to run it better. Be honest and people will respect you more. There are going to always, of course, be people that do not. That is just the nature of anonymity. People are anonymous behind their computers, behind their letters, behind whatever they send. So they use that power to better criticize you, most of the time without actual judgment that means anything. There are trolls. It's gonna happen. Reality is full of them. But there is a majority of your audience that would love it if you were honest, if you were right there and just making sure to talk about the process and hope people understand. Talk to them about this stuff, and I guarantee development would go a lot smoother. There'd be less backlash on release, and in general, you'd be able to help just promote it better. People who know what a company is offering can better talk about it with their friends instead of overhyping something that in the end won't deliver, marring future titles that you choose to release. It's a cycle. You mess up one release, suddenly you're on the, I don't know if I can trust this developer anymore. I'll have to be careful on their next release. You screw that up, you're done. You're just now known as making bad games, and the people who are going to buy your games are the people that enjoy bad games, and you will be marketed as such. This company is not trustworthy. Their game's gonna suck. If you want it, you want a sucky game. End of story. It's just, why would you want that? I don't understand the dishonest approach, and I get it. The development team is not always the one in control of what they're developing. It's the sad truth. publishing firms many a time have gone in there and said, we want this, and if you don't have it, you're not making this game anymore because you're not getting it published. That is the sad reality, and money is always going to come first, and that's the biggest issue with the innovation and honesty of gaming. I understand that well enough, and I know I'm probably ranting in an empty void at this point. But I honestly wish I could trust most developers. And I don't know. Being a gamer nowadays, I used to be so happy about this. When a game came out that was from a developer, I was a kid and I didn't know any better. But now I can clearly see that games are just getting more and more like cash grabs, especially with microtransactions and all that. And it's disheartening. But I know eventually we can get it fixed. And I know there are some great games out there. Just moral of the story here, as people who watch this and can actually do something about it, be wary of your purchases. When you see a game coming out, wait for it to come out for a week, even if you're excited. I know it's hard sometimes. I've done it many a time, believe me. Most of all, don't pre-order. When the game comes out and it's been a week, talk to people you know, look up reviews, look up someone that you may share a similar point of view with you, look at what they have to say, maybe look up a bit of a playthrough, and see what you're getting into. You should do research, especially if you're, as most people, on a limited income. We don't all have like the amount of money that people expect from us. Like these developers and publishers mostly expect. The MSRP makes it so that you can't buy every game. $60 for a game is too much. Nintendo's doing a good job in lowering the price to $40 for games that they feel are too short, which is a step in the right direction. It's sometimes I feel like gamers are more ATM machines to publishers than we are people. And that's a sad truth. I've been Avier of Chaotic Reunion, and I'll see you all in the next one.